GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. We're glad you're here with us today. What is gut punched? Well, we define it as the feeling you get in your gut when you've been given some bad news, like your loved one has Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. You feel it deep, like an emotional sucker punch. We do this podcast because we want to share what we know, share what we have experienced, and share how the information may help you with Alzheimer's and dementia. Now, we follow two rules here at Gut Punch. One, you have to take care of yourself because if something happens to you, who's going to take care of your loved one? And two, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find a good caregivers group, network with friends or relatives. Now, our guest today will be Craig Price, the Director of Community Programs and Applied Improv, and he has some really interesting and very successful ideas for caregivers. But first, changing your diet and lifestyle may slow down Alzheimer's, and this is from an article written by Alice Park and published June 7th, 2024. Lately, the biggest news in Alzheimer's has been around a new drug treatment that can slow cognitive decline by nearly 30% among people in the early stages of the disease. In coming months, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is expected to make a decision about another such promising therapy. But in addition to the pharmaceutical interventions, which are expensive and require repeated infusions, making sustained lifestyle changes can also slow the progression of the disease and possibly even prevent further decline, according to a new study. Now, in the trial, an intensive program of diet, exercise, stress reduction, and social interaction slowed the progression of cognitive decline as measured on standard tests for dementia, and even improved some people's symptoms. The study was conducted by Dr. Dean Ornish, founder and president of the nonprofit Preventative Medicine Research Institute and professor of medicine at the University of California, San Francisco, and along with a team of scientists. It appeared in the journal Alzheimer's Research and Therapy. Now, previous studies have shown that moderate changes in lifestyle could lead to some slowing in cognitive decline. So Ornish and his team decided to test whether a more in-depth formal program of behavior changes could slow brain changes even further. Now, Ornish had previously developed the program to address heart disease risk and showed that the combination of improved diet, exercise, stress reduction, and social engagement could significantly lower the risk of atherosclerosis and heart disease. In this study, 49 people with mild cognitive impairment or early Alzheimer's dementia agreed to participate. Half made the lifestyle changes in Ornish's program for 20 weeks, and the other half kept their normal habits, although the latter group was offered the opportunity to join the program after the study ended. Now, everyone provided blood samples so that the researchers could track changes in markers for Alzheimer's and fecal samples to provide insight into their microbiome or gut bacteria. The program was easier to stick to in the study than it would be in real life. Twice a week, the researchers shipped 3 daily vegan meals and 2 snacks to people in the lifestyle change group and their partners. Those participants also did 30 minutes of aerobic exercise a day, mostly walking, and strength training at least 3 times a week. A stress management specialist guided them in meditation, yoga, stretching, and relaxation exercises for an hour a day to improve their concentration and relaxation. Finally, these participants and their partners joined a support group 3 times a week to discuss any mental health and emotional issues they were experiencing. They also took several vitamins and supplements, including omega-3 supplements, a multivitamin, and lion's mane mushrooms and probiotics for cognition. Now, by the end of the 20-week study, those who made the lifestyle changes showed statistically significant improvements in 3 of the 4 standard cognitive tests and borderline statistically significant changes in the 4th test, compared to the people in the control group who showed worsening scores on all 4 tests. While the improvements were small, Ornish says that 20 weeks is a relatively short period of time and that other metrics further support the encouraging changes recorded on those tests. For one, the more closely people adhere to the lifestyle changes, the better their improvements. Another was that blood markers for amyloid protein, which builds up in the brains of Alzheimer's patients, showed positive changes similar to those recorded in people taking the new Alzheimer's medication. This is the first step, says Ornish. This is not a study to end all studies, but it shows for the first time that intensive lifestyle changes can improve cognitive and function in patients who have Alzheimer's. Now, Ornish hopes these results will encourage insurers to cover the program Medicare already does for heart disease. He also hopes the findings will give more people access to a way to slow their disease or even prevent it from progressing. This was designed as an intervention so anybody can do it, he says. When you make changes that make people feel so much better quickly, it gives them hope again, that they can do things they were told they would never do again, says Ornish. His team next hopes to continue following this group of patients as well as include more people from diverse backgrounds to bolster the data. He is also eager to see how the program might work together with lecanemab and any other drugs that may get approved for Alzheimer's. Now, on a personal note, when my wife was diagnosed, I researched, read a couple books, and tried changing diet. We changed a lot of things, added MCT oil, we added organic greens, vitamins, with a program of some exercise, walking, riding a bike, balancing exercises. I'm not a scientist, but I want to say it slowed my wife's progress down some. She even did better in her next 2 tests that she does annually. Coincidence? Maybe, maybe not.
We'll be right back to GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and I remember we were all in the hospital room, and for like 10 seconds she recognized who we were, and then it was gone. So it's like a thief. It's taking away memories and who you are as a person. Over 5.5 million Americans have Alzheimer's. That number may double by 2050. For more information, visit rightfocus.org.
This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Today's guest is Craig Price, and he resides in Naples, Florida. Now, Craig started studying in the art of improvisation at the Second City and I.O. Theater, Chicago, with such teachers as Del Close, Mick Napier, and Michael Gelman. Now, after training and performing in Chicago for 3 years, Craig moved to Colorado to perform for 5 years in over 550 shows with Comedy Sports Improv Theater in Denver. Craig then turned his attention to stand-up comedy, where he spent 5 years on the road touring the country. Now, he arrived in Naples and started performing theater at the Naples Players while continuing improv with Naples City Improv in Stage 2. He soon got the job of teaching improv and assisting in the Naples Players Kids Act theater program. Now, Craig went on to accept a position of performing arts director at Arts Bonita, where he directed and produced their youth and adult productions, shows, and concerts, as well as taught improv classes on all levels for kids and adults. Now, Craig started his time with the Naples Players as the education director for the Kids Act department and adult education programming. He was quickly promoted to director of community education and wellness after starting classes for students with developmental disabilities. His programs have grown and expanded to include multiple levels of traditional and inclusive improv, family improv, and over 39 community partnership programs. Now, these classes for youth and adults specialize in providing neurodiverse, informed, accessible theater programming for people of all abilities using applied improv. Craig continues to offer applied improv programming throughout the community, online and in-house for the Naples Players as the Director of Community Programs and Applied Improvisation. Now, this was a fun conversation for me. Craig has a lot of energy and a great personality. We laughed a lot both during and after the interview, maybe a little bit inside, and we hope you'll enjoy it. We're talking with Craig Price, Director of Community Programs and Applied Improv of the Naples Players. Now, Craig has developed some innovative approaches in using improv techniques to assist in creative communication. Now, to be transparent, Craig and I spoke a couple times, and maybe a month ago, we talked for a while, had a great conversation, but somebody forgot to push record. So, it,
Yeah, and that was my fault.
Yeah.
Totally my fault. I didn't remind you for it.
it happens. It happens. I have stories, but that's okay. We're talking now. I'm glad we are. I do appreciate you accommodating this with your busy schedule. Let me ask you, how did the idea of using improv to work with caregivers come about?
Well, Jeff, that is, what do we have, an hour here to discuss this?
We have as much time as you want.
To kind of cover that? All right.
Much so.
Well, when I first started doing improv, I knew it made me feel better. After I got done with rehearsal, I saw a show, after I taught a class, I knew that I was feeling the positive effects, the endorphins, the dopamines, all the good chemicals going on in my brain made me feel better. And so I knew it would help people in a lot of different ways after I left Second City and after I was, performing and teaching all over the country. Once I settled down here, I saw it helping my family in so many different ways. My kids, my marriage, my work life. Improv helped in all these different areas. If I just applied the same principles of improv, the yes and style of communication to all these different areas, it helped. So why wouldn't it help with care partners? So I just started trying it out, in my own life. And of course, it started like life imitates art or art imitates life. I've gotten involved in so many different areas of teaching improv to different communities, kids with autism and adults with Alzheimer's and their care partners, because that's what's going on in my own life. I was exposed to lots of occupational therapy and sensory processing disorder when my kids were born. So that gave me the idea to teach improv for kids with autism. Same thing with adults. My dad and mom both have partners. My stepdad and my stepmom both have brain change. So my stepdad died of dementia, and my stepmom just recently passed away from frontal temporal. So, two different kinds of Alzheimer's, two different kinds of dementia in their lives. I watched my mom and dad go through that care partner journey, and I myself was thrown into that role as well as my wife. So, yeah, we saw it working right there in front of us every day.
Wow. It's pretty interesting. I know because of a past conversation that you went to Second City, like you said, and worked some other places, but you brought it here to Southwest Florida. And how did you get tied in with the Naples Players for what you're doing? Because you were doing improv, then you said, I'm working with Naples Players, and they said, hey, this is a great idea, or how did that come about?
Well, it was really fortunate. I started, when I first moved to Naples 18 years ago, somebody told me about the Naples Players because I'd been doing improv and performing, and I was a theater major in college. Somebody said, hey, you should go down and check out this community theater. They're really doing some great stuff. So I came down here and auditioned right after I first moved to town. So probably within the first 2 years I was here, I was in the production of Beauty and the Beast about 16 years ago, where adults were performing that show. I got to play the fool in that show, got to bounce around. Gaston beat me up for the entire show. And then my very first show here was Oliver. And I was in a production where there were kids and adults performing together. We had all the kids playing the orphans and Oliver, and I was Noah Claypole, the caretaker's assistant, undertaker's assistant. And I got beat up by a 10-year-old boy who played Oliver every night of the show. So I kind of carved out a niche for myself of getting beat up in all my productions here. I did a couple of plays. But during that time, I started talking to other friends in the shows, finding out who did improv around here. And sure enough, a lot of like-minded people here all were like, yeah, let's do some improv. So we started just kicking it around. Naples City Improv, we called ourselves when we first formed. Now it's stage 2, and they're performing regularly all over the city. So, we just started doing improv together, and it was from there that I started teaching. So I wanted to get involved in teaching kids here. I wanted to get involved in teaching adults, and then eventually became the education director and was working as education director here, directing children's shows, teaching classes for kids and adults. And then that's when things started happening in my life where I have young kids. They have occupational therapists who are serving many other students with autism, and I'm watching them play games with their students and their patients in these occupational therapy settings, and also was working with Naples Therapeutic Writing Center. And I'm seeing how improv helps those students. And then also when my mom and stepmom and stepdad were diagnosed with dementia, I started to see how my mom and dad were going through the care partner journey. And it really was Bryce Alexander, the CEO and executive artistic director here at the Naples Players Theater, that was responsible for telling me, go for it. He came from a background where the theater in Denver that he worked for, that he was running a theater in Denver that was all cast members and people, union actors who had developmental disabilities and physical disabilities doing shows. So he comes from that background, the family theater, it was called, with a PH. And here he was all for it. He really wanted to start programming for kids and adults with developmental disabilities here. And I was just the person to do it because I had that background. So, and the desire to learn. So, and taking more workshops, learning more about autism and how that brain works, taking lots of workshops with Teepa Snow and learning about being a care partner and dementia and Alzheimer's and how that brain works. It really all just kind of developed naturally that way. And I also had a boss that was really pushing me to do it and offer it to the community. So it just, it really took fire. It just grew so fast. Once we started offering classes here, now there are 3 of us in this department, and we call it the Access, Naples Arts Access, the Naples Players Arts Access Department, which offers inclusive classes for kids and adults in all these different areas of musical theater, improv. We have relaxed performances that are specifically designed for kids and adults with developmental disabilities, from autism to Alzheimer's, and their care partners, so that they are comfortable coming to the theater and in a judgment-free environment like we're able to provide in our relaxed performances.
Right.
So
we're going to.
That's really exciting.
I'm going to ask you some more about that in a little bit. But the first,
Yeah, absolutely.
The first time that you have people or a person in your class and you're doing the improv, what's the first impression you get from the person who's now experiencing that? I mean, are they open about it? Are they still skittish, or do they really embrace it?
Most people, when they hear the word improv, probably your listeners right now are saying the same thing that most people say in any improv class is, how is this going to help me? Right?
Mm-hmm.
People hear improvisation and the first thing they think of is like, whose line is it anyway? The Whose Line Is It Anyway on TV made improv comedy so popular. People think that's all we do, but that's really, sure, that is the goal. Ultimately, yeah, you're teaching exercises that those improv artists, those actors at Second City and Whose Line Is It Anyway and Upright Citizens Brigade and all these amazing improv groups all around the world, they're performing these incredibly difficult improv games, but the same philosophy all the way down to its most simplest form is that yes and style of communication, listening, accepting, supporting, taking risks, and letting go of mistakes. And if you teach those basic principles to someone who's going through the journey of being a care partner for someone with dementia. That makes a lot of sense. Like, do you need more listening in your care partner journey? Do you have a hard time with your loved one who's experiencing the brain change? Do they not listen to you, or maybe they're nonverbal at this point? And maybe your listening has to change, and they're not even communicating with words. They're communicating with motions and emotions. And like we know, both being care partners, you and I, our loved ones who experience brain change maintain their emotions well into the later stages of dementia and Alzheimer's. They're still feeling how I'm making them feel. My stepmother still knows how I make her feel. It may be, different every day. And that's the thing that I explain to most of my care partners, and most of the people that are coming in improv class are pretty reluctant at first. But once they see, that aha moment that we talk about, where we go, oh, I get it. I see. Every time I walk into a room and visit my loved one with brain change, it's different, right?
Right.
The disease inherently makes it different because they progress and it's never the same. Well, for an improv actor, it's never the same either. We never know what's going to happen when we walk out on a stage. We're always going to have a different suggestion from an audience. We're always going to get something different from our scene partner. And we're always going to have to react to that with a completely open mind. Once you explain that mindset that we have to have as actors on stage when we do improv, it's the same thing for you as a care partner, right?
Right.
And all I'm doing is teaching you and fun and interactive improv games to help you practice that. I'm not teaching you, how to be a better care partner. I'm just giving you tools in your toolkit that you can use in the heat of the moment to help you manage those communication breakdowns that happen when you're a care partner for someone with brain change.
Right. That's an excellent way to put it, because I would say, if I didn't know, how is it going to help me? But you're right, because every day is, like Forrest Gump says, is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Even throughout the day, it could be one way in the morning and totally different in the afternoon.
Yeah.
As a caregiver, at least I find some days, my patience is thin. You got a lot going on. And it's sometimes hard to, let me put it this way. It's easier to forget that I got to be a lot more patient, a lot more giving, and listen more than say anything. If that process that you just explained helps me learn to listen better, then that's got to be half the battle. Because like you said before too, if they may not be able to communicate, so then you also then have to watch physical signals and facial expressions to say, okay, that didn't go over well. Listen some more, ask a question more. I ask a question and I don't know what you mean. And I go, okay, how am I going to explain this? So it's that, but I like the concept because, now it includes physicality and then facial expressions and also, vocal
cues.
Vocal cues, that's it.
Yep. And if you are open to that experience and you're listening for that, you're looking for that, you're going to be a much better caregiver. You're in a much better place to satisfy those needs and to deal with all those little things that come up all the time. And like you said, it's different in the morning than it is at night. You're dealing with a whole different person, and a whole different disease. And it's really interesting because you really nailed it on the head right there. That it's that ability to communicate. And one of the things that I know as a care partner that really wore me out, and I hear this a lot from the folks in my classes, is I get the same question over and over and over, or it's always the same problem. She won't take her medicine. She won't eat, or she asks me the same question over and over and over. How do I deal with that? I get that brought up in class a lot.
I would imagine.
And it's just like, you from your own experience, the deal. And it's tough, right? To be patient. And I can't teach you to be patient. I can't, but I can give you techniques and tools to help you along the way, to be open to it. And each time it's a different question. Each time it's going to mean something different. If you're looking for those same things you just described, the nonverbal cues that you're going to get from your partner each time they ask that question, it's going to mean something just a little different. So you can give it just a little different answer. Or maybe you answer it the same way every time and you're just doing a scene where you're repeating that same scene over and over and over. It's just like an improv actor. When we walk out on stage and our scene partner says something to us, we have to react to it. Same thing when you're a care partner.
Right. How does somebody get involved in your class?
The best way has been the Alzheimer's Support Network has been incredibly helpful in terms of getting their members exposure to the improv classes. The creative care partner and the reason why we call it creative communication for care partners is exactly what you talked about, the whole improv thing. People, they hear that word, even actors here at the Naples Players who, are volunteers. All our actors are volunteers. They're on the stage. They've been acting for many, many years. They hear the word improv. It scares them too. Improv is kind of a scary word. So we don't call it improv. We call it creative communication for care partners. And the classes are offered through the Alzheimer's Support Network here in Naples, and they're free. And the other place we offer these classes is I teach classes, and I recommend everybody, not just care partners, but I recommend everybody take an improv class. It will get you out of your comfort zone and get you communicating in a way that you've never communicated before. Whether you want to be an actor or not, whether you just want to be a more effective communicator in life, improv is a great tool for that. And I recommend everybody take at least one improv class in their lifetime. Whether you take it from me, here at the Naples Players, I offer classes once a month here. They're called improv drop-in classes. And I encourage people who are out there. I have students that come to the improv drop-in the last Saturday of every month. You can look it up on our website. It's naplesplayers.org. And at naplesplayers.org, you get a bunch of different options: acting classes, improv classes, singing, dancing, whatever you want. But my improv classes are offered the last Saturday of every month, improv drop-in. They're only $10 for a 2-hour class, and they're open to everyone, all abilities, all ages. And I get students from 18 to 85 in there who come from all different walks of life who want to come in and try improv out. And then also I teach a class online once a month called Laugh Online, LOL. Laugh Online is one Wednesday every month, and it's free. So that online class, if you can't get out of the house because you are a care partner and you're taking care of someone full-time, that online class is a great option for you. So you can connect with others, and we play some fun improv games. We laugh a lot. We have a great time. And then also we do longer classes. So if you want to study more, 8 weeks, 6 weeks, so you can get signed up for something like that too. So do a family improv class. The great thing about the family improv class is we get grandma, grandpa, kids, mom, dad, all doing improv together. So that's really fun. That's the first Saturday of every month.
That would be interesting to do.
Lots of different options.
Okay, that sounds great. I think I'm going to have to do the online first, but that's a start for me. And then
absolutely,
I have
and
to have to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got to lose, right? Sign up for a Laugh Online class. I taught one last night. I get students from all walks of life that sign up on there. And the other thing I wanted to mention, Jeff, that an improv class, whether it be Laugh Online, whether it be, and there's tons of improv classes online all over the world. I'm not the only guy teaching them. But the other thing that improv does for you, and any of these classes do for you, is they give you a community. Once you've gone through the journey of being a care partner, when you're with other people that are doing the same thing, you immediately have a bond, right?
Yep,
you guys can talk about the same stuff,
Yeah.
Same thing with improv. right?
Yeah.
Same thing with improv. Once you've done a couple scenes, you're like, oh, now you guys got something to talk about. It's like, going to war together. You fought on the battlefield. You immediately have a bond with these folks. Same thing as a care partner, same thing as an improviser. So an improv class is a great way to build some community, some other like-minded folks like yourself that are going through some of the same things you're going through. We get together, we do some improv. Some of the people that are in my classes turn out to be great friends, and they stay in touch. So it's a great place to build community, and that's one of the things we as care partners, it happens a lot to us, right? We isolate,
Right.
we get stuck in that role, and we don't get enough respite outside of that. Well, an improv class, whether it's an hour online or 2 hours in person, a great way to just get out of that for just a little bit and learn some great communication techniques in the meantime.
So now I'm going to switch over to a question that you kind of touched on about opportunities for families to see a play.
Oh, yeah. We have relaxed performances, I think is what you're referring to.
That's exactly what I was looking for.
Judgment-free, secure, relaxed, judgment-free opportunity to see a performance here at the Naples Players. For example, just Tuesday night, actually, last Tuesday at 7:30, we had a relaxed performance of 42nd Street. Classic musical, right? Big, showy show, lots of tap dancing, the works, costumes, lights, music, classic Broadway production of 42nd Street. And we had it in our brand new theater, fully renovated theater here on Fifth Avenue. And we have, in the relaxed performance, what we do is we make some accommodations for our audience that you wouldn't ordinarily find in any other production. Like, for example, we keep the house lights on about halfway so that you can get up in the middle of the show. And no problem. The actors are not going to be bothered by it. People know that. The actors know in advance that they are going to have maybe no applause because the audience is only half full. We don't sell all the tickets out so that you have room to breathe. You can move around. You can make noise. You can get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the show and nobody's going to mind. You can eat snacks. It's okay. It's a relaxed performance. And that's the whole idea. Also, we provide an opportunity for sensory bags. Like if you need a larger print format of a program, that's available to you. All of our performances have hearing aids. We have a T-coil system as well as hearing assistance devices. And I myself wear hearing aids, and I'm able to log right into a website and download an app, and it plays right through my hearing aids for the whole show.
Wow.
And I can adjust the volume level so that it's right for me.
That's amazing.
And also, the other thing about it that our care partners really love is that their loved one that is experiencing brain change might not be able to sit for a full hour at a time. Or, and oftentimes a play is 2 acts long. So you're dealing with, 2.5, 3 hours with an intermission. So this performance, you can get up, you can come and go as you please. You can watch it on monitors in the lobby, even if it's not comfortable in that environment, inside the environment. So it's a judgment-free zone. It's an opportunity to see a play that you wouldn't ordinarily have, or you may not feel comfortable in a traditional theater environment. So this is an opportunity. And the other thing is tickets are only $10, $10 in advance or $15 at the door.
Well, I think it's an
which
excellent
is a
idea.
major discount.
Yeah, it's an excellent idea because otherwise people can't get out. They need to be out. You need to socialize.
Exactly.
I like it a lot.
A whole group from the Alzheimer Support Network, they all come down together. The care partners, their loved ones with brain change, everybody comes down together. They sit together. They're able to socialize. And yeah, it's a great opportunity to get out of the house, have some fun, go out for a night, have a date. When was the last time you done that? And it really is a great opportunity to do that.
Well, thank you.
Valet parking, super easy. Just get free valet and just walk right up to the theater. And it is just a very relaxed way to see the show for anyone experiencing.
How long is this 42nd Street run? I mean, how long do your plays usually run? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month?
42nd Street, any of our major musicals run for at least a month.
Okay.
They're in rehearsals for 2 to 3 months beforehand. They run for a month. Shows are every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, and Sunday afternoons as a matinee. Our relaxed performance next one is in December, and it's A Christmas Story, the musical. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Ralphie, that story. It's a musical based on that movie, and that one is December 10th. It's a Tuesday night, again, at 7:30 p.m., and it is our next relaxed performance. But if you want to come see a play at any time here at the Naples Players, starting this fall, we are going to have a brand new sensory room. And our sensory room is available to anyone who would like to rent the sensory room and see the show from their own private room, where they have control over the lights, the sound, and the environment that they're in at any point. They have their own entrance, their own snack bar, their own bathroom, and their own room to see the show. And that's available for every show starting this fall.
Wow. I like it all. You guys are doing a bang-up job. And I do want to thank you so much for this repeat performance. And actually, I think it went a lot deeper, and we're able to highlight a lot more things. And
Absolutely.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, better the second time. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that the repeat performance was even better. And definitely, I look forward to seeing you and any of your listeners online at Laugh Online, the LOL class. Sign up at naplesplayers.org or in person down here at the Naples Players on Fifth Avenue. Come see me for any of my improv drop-in classes. Make sure that you mention this podcast.
There you go. Craig Price, Director of Community Programs and Applied Improv at the Naples Players. Thank you so much, and you have a great rest of the day.
We'll be right back to GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Are you the caregiver for someone living with dementia? You're not alone.
I was a caregiver for my wife for 10 years, and it was a lot of work.
I'm a caretaker for my wife who has Alzheimer's.
I'm a caregiver of my husband that has CTE, and it's incredibly challenging.
The Dubin Center in Fort Myers has been offering free educational classes and support since 1995.
The Dubin Center has helped me exponentially with so many questions answered. It's just been great.
This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Well, if you enjoyed our conversation with Craig Price from the Naples Players, you can go to the website and get more detailed information on some of the courses he's mentioned. The address is thenaplesplayers.org. You can look along the top of their website for different programs. Maybe we'll see you in one of the improv classes. Now, this is something I'm definitely going to do. We've added a bunch more help links to our website, gutpunched.com, and we're working on adding some book resources, so keep checking. And for more information, you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at https://alzsupport.org/about us, the Dubin Center, and that's dubincenter.com. Or to find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit alz.org, local resources, find your local chapter. And now, if you have any questions or thoughts about GutPunched, Alzheimer's, or Caregivers, or if there is a specific topic you'd like to know more about, reach out to us. Now, listeners have been starting to send us emails and giving us some good feedback so we can make each episode better, bringing you more information on caregiving. We really enjoy hearing from you, no matter where you are. Our email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com. Now, a special shout out to Rick Peterson, Aura Santana, Gentry Thomas, Dan Moser, the Dubin Center, and my wife for their tremendous help and support in making this podcast possible. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again for more. God bless.
This has been GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or you want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com, or you can visit our website at gutpunched.com.